Hello and welcome back to Space Engineers. In today's video, we're looking at another small block racing ship. This one sitting right behind me is quite a mouthful to say, so putting the camera like so, this thing is called the ENSEC GGR1767 IRGO, which is this thing you see in front of you. So this thing is an unarmed, hydrogen-only ship that features subgrid thrusters to give it that overall great race-like design, and it comes with a liftable lid for your cockpit, so when you sit inside, you can fold it all the way down and seal yourself inside. So what we're going to do with this is have a quick look around the outside, and when it comes to test out, what we're going to do is, well, we'll return back to the Tatooine Race course, which is a fantastic course to actually test out race-like vehicles, means it doesn't really have too sharp corners, which this vehicle does tend to struggle with, and it doesn't really have too many obstacles, because what I have found while testing this thing is any kind of bad bumps, this ship, due to the hinges, will tend to turn itself inside out and can cause quite a lot of problems. But anyway, pressing F10, finding in spawn menu, this ship is 464 small blocks using a couple of the DLC packs. We've got one hell of a lot of information about, such as the lore behind it, and that's been configured for the recolorable thrusters, which you don't have to use, it's completely vanilla otherwise, so you just simply spawn it into the world and ignore any warnings the ship gives you. And then down to there it says to enjoy your racing career while it lasts, and for me it's gonna last about 5 seconds long because I am terrible at racing games. Anyway, giving this thing a thumbs up, move around towards the very front, this is what we get for the very front of the IRGO. So what we've got are some steel blocks in a brownish colouring, where right behind that we've got a greeny blue colour to make up the main body of the ship, with a few dots of orange and red here and there to break all up. If we were to get a bit closer and move around onto the side, what we've got is a very strange protruding section, but has some armoured panels and some neon tubes. This comes all the way down from the bottom of the main body, across and around like so. There's the neon tube going all the way up to it. And looking it down like so, that's all it does. It's purely there for decoration, but I suppose if you really want to, you could try and slap on a gun onto the side of that. You can work out a way to actually fit on correctly, maybe connect up to a container. That's up to you what you want to do with it. But moving slightly along, there's the first of many hydrogen thrusters go around this ship. These ones are static on the grid, no hinges attached onto these. As we have to move all the way along, we then see another hydrogen thruster. We then see a hinge that comes across onto our armoured panels, which how this whole thing has been angled up. If we get a bit closer and over onto the middle section right here, there we'll see that armoured panel on the side. And all the way across to here, there's our hydrogen thruster on the opposite. Over to this part, this is the start of the scary section, our subgrid thrusters, which is where the problems will happen when we slam into a rock, and the ship tends to flip out and will destroy itself. Yes, we've got 4 thrusters on both sides, both angled up and down. This makes it a bit wonkier to control than a traditional ship, but still feels perfectly suitable for racing around a small track. Around towards the back, we've got one large hydrogen thruster, which gives you so much speed that you basically go to 100 meters per second in 1 second, but you see that in just a moment. Looking at it from behind, there we go, we see how our fins on the side just strut out, and there's the thrusters for the opposite side on their hinges. Moving all the way up and looking down, there we go, we see an access panel for you to play around with, potentially doing work on the internals. We can see some cargo containers with some reactors in front of them, pulling the camera all the way through because it does get a little bit weird on the inside here. So down to here, we've got a couple of rotor heads. There's a gyroscope being clipped into, I'm not too sure what this block actually is, but there is a rotor, there's a gyroscope, round towards the back, it's moving away slightly. We then got this giant silver block, which I'm not too sure what it is without actually deconstructing the vehicle, so I suppose we'll look at that when I finish going around the outside. Pushing the camera further through, there's our conveyors linking everything together. As we move across through this section, so past all of that, we then come across to our O2HU generator. We then got more hydrogen tank on the left and right hand side. Looking all the way up, there's our reactor with beam blocks in the middle. Then pushing past the O2HU generator, we then got a small cargo container that then comes across to our saddle cockpit. That's how we're going to drive it around with our lid at the top. Moving away from there, looking down at it once again, there's the hinge for the lid, and a bunch of brownish steel blocks to cover up all of our important internals. Moving all the way across, there is our lid folded all the way down once we're in the cockpit. And at the front there's our hydrogen thrusters. There's some great use for armoured panels just covering up all their connection points. Make sure you can't see any of the ugly internals. Then towards the front there's a little protruding part at the side. And there's the very front where we started. Moving all the way down underneath it, there we go, we've got some more hydrogen thrusters to get us off the ground. Moving along towards the main body, another access panel for us to play around with. There's the bottom of our O2HU generator. There's some more brown steel blocks, once again covering up our main internals, which is where that hodgepodge of all those silver blocks and rotor heads were sitting. There's our large hydrogen thruster at the back there to boost us around. And there we are, that's the outside of this ship. So what I'm going to do now, before I actually get into the cockpit, drive this thing around, and race around this race course and show just how terrible I am at driving this ship, I'm going to grab hold of my character and remove those steel blocks from the bottom of the ship so you can see exactly what's going on there. So when I went around the outside, when I actually had to pan around with the welder, it looked like it's a large rotor head attached onto a large block thruster being connected up to a small block rotor in order to give the ship a huge boost of speed when you hit pause on the keyboard. So with my grinder flying all the way up to it and removing these steel blocks right here, being very careful now not to remove something I don't want to remove. There we go, that'll have to do. I'll get rid of this one. There we go, moving that one. There we are. And there we are, that is the large rotor head. There's how it's been clipped in through all the internals via conveyors and gyroscopes. So if I was to remove this, the thruster should fall down to the ground. There we go, down to the ground it goes. Then up to there is our advanced rotor, which is how it's all been connected up. So there we are, that explains that. And why it was so odd to actually look when we put the camera through the inside. So deleting this, and now flying all the way up to this, getting into the cockpit, we've only got 2 controls to go through, which is going to be to control the lid of this ship. So pressing number 2, that's going to be to unlock and lock our rotor. So we go like that. Now press that, that's going to lock and unlock it. Pressing number 1, that's now going to move all the way down. There we go, and lift it all the way up. So we now put it down, lock it in place. Now it's all safe to drive around, but it's not quite safe, or not as safe as you think it's going to be. As soon as we start moving, it's going to get very clangy and very, very scary to actually listen to, but it should be perfectly fine as long as we don't crash into anything, otherwise it's going to flip out and will potentially self-destruct itself. So, realign the camera like so, coming all the way down, it's time to actually move this thing around and see how it handles. So holding forwards, here we go, look how quickly that thing takes off and reaches maximum speed. It is bloody fast. But coming to a stop is a completely different story. As you can see, we are bloody slow compared to moving forwards, which does make it a big problem making tight turns around the racecourse. You will be heavily reliant at feathering the thruster to make sure you're not going at maximum speed unless you absolutely know the track, absolutely know that you can just go full throttle around it. Yes, if you're moving forwards and want to stop a bit quicker, you will have to do a 180. There we go, basically stop instantly. For our left and right on this thing, because we are using subgrid thrusters and they have been angled, it is slightly more wonky than normal, so we've got a little bit of speed. As you can see, as we move left and right, we do lose altitude. So moving left, we're going to come down to the ground. Moving right, we're going to come down to the ground. So the way this whole ship has been set up, the way you're meant to control it, is entirely by using the back thruster. So move forwards, like so. When you want to make a turn, you will have to overemphasize the turn and boost forwards, and keep relying yourself by utilizing that back thruster to avoid utilizing your left and right, so that will increase the risk of slamming into something like a stone jutting out of the ground, which could cause the ship to spontaneously explode. Enough of that, hiding all the HUD, here we go all the way around. I don't need to worry about the actual hydrogen in the hydrogen tanks because we are in creative, but it does feature 2 small hydrogen tanks, so it's not going to last too long. In fact, driving around here, as you can see now, it's ticking down quite rapidly, in fact about once every 3 seconds, so it won't take long to actually exhaust all the hydrogen. But here we come all the way around the track. It is a very nice track with very safe corners. There's an arrow telling me that I need to head around towards the left here. So in third person view using my rear thruster. There we go. Hopefully this will stop in time. Then we can come all the way around. So we've got a choice here. Either go through this scary tunnel or through the nice calm canyon. I'm not going to go through the tunnel because during my testing, that's where the problems start to happen with all the hinges on this ship. So here we come all the way around, being very careful not to go too fast. I know I'm saying not to go too fast while going around at maximum speed. I want to feather it slightly and be ready for any corners coming up ahead of me. So all the way around, behind the HUD once again. There we go. I'm just going to take a nice calm little journey around here, and hopefully it won't be too bad. When I was testing this thing around, I did slam into every mortal rock, so I was just holding now forwards to see how it would actually handle doing that, and that's where the problems started to happen. Yes, the race course itself is extremely old, but it still holds up to date. It does take a bit longer to actually load into the world because it has to be converted to the updated versions. It's basically all done via voxel hands, barring a few little sections. Oh, there we go, that was a bad little crash. Now I'm going to come around like so. Yes, it's all done via voxel hands, barring a few bits and pieces later on in the track in the form of rocket turrets. So if you think you're going to cheat, if you think you're going to be able to go above the actual race course, just bypass a bunch of obstacles, you're in for a rough time because those rocket launchers will open fire into you, and there's plenty of them around the track. So it doesn't matter how fast you're going, they will rip you to shreds. All the way around into this part, being very, very careful. I am scared about touching any kind of walls because it will flip out and that's going to go horribly, horribly wrong. Probably crash the game. But now we're coming up to the section we should have the rocket launches, but if you fly too high, it's going to end us very quickly. So slowing this down as best I can, that's going to be another bad crash. And there we go, it's now going to turn itself inside out. Hopefully it'll recover. Yes, it will. Now, when did this happen before? Oh god, I'm not actually too sure what happened there, but it looks like we have blown up something. We lost some thrusters on the side there. Should still be flyable. In fact, there it goes once again. We're now going to go up into space. There goes the rocket launcher, so it is starting to shoot into me. Hopefully it can recover. No, it looks like this might be the end of this poor little ship. Yes, that's the problem I talked about at the very start of the video. It turning itself inside out. Can I actually drive this thing around once again? Yes, I can. We still got our rear thruster. It's not going to be any good. We're not going to be able to keep ourselves off the ground unless we fly upside down. The time for me to hop out of this and spawn in a brand new one. And here we go one more time. So we're now past the rocket launcher section, so we're completely out of the woods with that. And that looks like the end of the track. And well, that'd be a perfect way to end this video because there's not too much else to talk about with this ship. It's very self-explanatory what it does. And well, that is basically it for this race course. Oh god, oh that was terrible. And we blew up on the ending sign. In fact, that's an absolute perfect way to end this video. But yes, and for the ship itself, it looks fantastic. It's a very good little racing ship. If you are taking care to not bump into stuff like I was doing when driving very regularly around this race course, so be linked to it in the description below. Do download and play around yourself. Highly recommend you do, as well as a link to the race course I'm currently on. I'll be back with another video some point soon. Bye bye.